let's get into the episode for once. Let's go a little early today since you took so long. All right.
It's not my fault.
Okay, never is.
I have to stretch in the morning.
I was there early today.
I know. You got to jump.
I got to jump on you.
If I jumped in the early morning like that,
you're going to blow that hip all up.
My hip is gone.
That hip's gone.
I can't deal with
that. And then
we
try to give away free coffee today.
We did try to give away free coffee.
All right, we'll see what happens next week.
And 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome to Caffeinated Confident. I'm Harlow.
I'm JP.
And we're on to episode 13 today. And today's topic, we're going to discuss the review from the cheap seats of the 2019 games. Comments?
Questions? Concerns?
And is it bullshit? Will it ever happen again? I don't know. A lot of questions. That's what I'll say.
But I will say I enjoyed watching this year's games.
I did. Jumping in with the evolution of the games. For those of you who may not be familiar with the games, I mean, we had hopefully a broad audience. It's called the Crossfit Games. It's a 4-day test of fitness, typically 2 to 5 workouts a day, depending on what Dave Castro really wants to throw at people. He's a real nice guy. And so it's the true test of fitness. It's anything from swimming to weightlifting to gymnastics. He's going to throw it this year, ruck, which I was like, ouch. So, yeah.
Well, what's ruck again?
Ruck is basically covering distance with a heavy loaded backpack.
Okay.
I mean, ruck's big in the military. Typically, it's more of a hike with, your pack. But, of course, in the CrossFit Games, it's do 1,500 meters, add weight, do 1,500 meters, add weight, until you reach 6,000 meters. So, yeah, that was an interesting one. But in the evolution of the games, there's a lot, right? This year I really enjoyed watching it, like you said, but I could watch it when I wanted because it was all on YouTube.
Yes.
I love that.
Like a live stream on YouTube.
Yeah.
It'd be the whole 8 hours were on YouTube for that day.
And that I've always tried to watch and always been into it, but over the past couple of years, I think, it was on ESPN3 when they first kind of came out, and then later after, kind of 2 or 3, 4 weeks after the games, it would be on ESPN, or you could watch it online, but it was usually through their website, and the live stream wasn't great, but that partnership with YouTube, brilliant.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have to be there at the time when it started. I don't have to worry about missing the event. Watch it whenever I want.
Yeah. And also with it being on YouTube, there wasn't a lot of spoilers out there, unless you waited till like 2 or 3 days later. Like you didn't, everybody kind of kept it in check, which was awesome. But yeah, from how they stream it to, of course, just rogue fitness decking out the place. Every year it just gets more, I don't even know how to, like, glamorous, right?
Sure.
Like, the fitness glamorous too, like, bigger units, crazy toys, if you want to say. Like,
it's got to be bigger and better equipment than last year. You can't use last year's equipment. It's got to be brand new design, bring out the latest and greatest. And it's a showcase for them, really.
Right.
I mean, it gives them the opportunity to really bring out the research and development end and just be like, hey, we're going to throw it all out there to, for the games because of the exposure, man.
Yeah. Like I don't even know what it's called, but it was basically it looks like a round hay bale, for those of you who know a round hay bale, but it's filled halfway full with sand and you have to push it. That sounds horrible.
It sounds terrible.
Right? So I'm like, wow, just simple stuff. And then these super sleds. Like we have all these sleds around here, but they, have over the years had these almost front wedge sleds that, you can go really fast, but if you are off by a half inch, it buries in the ground and you get hit in the chest with the bars, right? Or your quads just get so fired up because you got to drive so low to keep that sled level. Rogue is also genius in just keeping the games and also doing the Invitational this year, being one of the ways to get to the games. Come win the Invitational, you get a golden ticket to the games, which is funny to me because for me, CrossFit goes all the way back. I was introduced to it late 2008, and in 2009, we went to. At that point, you had to qualify through these prelims around the country, and then a friend of mine was in it. But we're up in Columbus, Ohio, in this like backyard warehouse. It was a big warehouse, but it was nothing glamorous. And I remember one event was 21, 15, 9 deadlifts and pull-ups. Everyone, I do mean 90%, blew their entire hand out.
Oh, really?
The bars were just so raw, and then because people were kind of bleeding on them, after every round, they were just cleaning them with alcohol, just wiping them down with alcohol, and people were just getting lit up. And that was early on. That was like the Friday, I think either Friday or early Saturday workouts. And then it led into like a 1,000-meter row for time. So people have galls in their hand rowing.
Right.
Then it went to like a 7-11 5-rounder of kettlebell thrusters and burpees. So people just smashing their hand into the ground. It was quite the show. And now to see where they're at, where they own like 10 city blocks in Columbus with this massive, production company. Not only they have their own stadium almost inside.
Yeah, it is a full stadium.
Right. I mean, we're talking 10-year progression. Like, if you want to see a successful business, go see Rogue. And if you're hiring, I'm available. Okay. JP's in. So yeah. To see that progression and to see years past online qualifier, that was fun. That was great. That had to be, I don't know how much work had to go into that, right? To make sure, I know they didn't watch probably every video, but the top dogs, they had to watch the video. They always called out people when they didn't do their double unders, or if they, something was off or one or two reps were off. That's just a lot of work.
Yeah. But this year's format was...
Right. Find a event that gets you to the games.
Win the event, and you get a golden ticket.
Yeah, or even if you're in the top 5, you're in question to get to the CrossFit Games. Or just do a lot of events and get a lot of points. It's almost like, sometimes the FedEx Cup, the golf, you play X amount of tournaments and get X amount of points, you get to go, So it's that qualifying point system. Again, I think it's brilliant. It takes that pressure off CrossFit, lets them invest into more like we talked to Dr. Nick. What was he saying? The CrossFit Health, where they're really getting the doctors involved and getting their certifications instead of being this showcase, super show. And they get to take some of that money back and invest it into, hey, let's go battle the soda brands of the world, which, that's I know Glassman's like not a soda fan. Let's just say it. That's being nice about it. So dialing that money back so they can move forward in true health and wellness. They're just really dialing it in.
So with them dialing in this year, they changed up the format of the games itself, really.
Yes,
and
they
did. Started eliminations. Like they're going to cut the field, from the start.
Yeah.
Crazy,
right? You start with 75 athletes. They get to do one event, and it gets cut to 50, I think.
Yeah,
right?
you worked so hard for all year long training. You won or placed in your event, whatever sanctioned event you went to. You get to the games day one.
And not only day one, I think the cap on that event was 10 or 12 minutes. So you got 10 or 12 minutes of a year's worth of work, or to prove your year of work. And if not, well, you get to go sit in the more expensive seats where we watch from the cheap seats. But man, and I will say I do love the Madison, Wisconsin. I love that setting right now.
Oh, it was perfect for it.
It's hugely different from the California days, but it's just they get to use the lakes, and they play it well, man. They definitely dial it in.
Yeah, they really utilize everything that city has to offer and bring it.
Bring it to life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring it to the fitness community. So the cut line was a huge difference this year. You went from 75 to being on Sunday when there's only 10 athletes on the floor.
Do you think those cuts, even along the way after the day one cuts, do you think that affected, or that was a true representation of the best moving forward, or do you think somebody just had a bad day and they were like, well, that's it?
I'll throw it to this, right? All right, we have Matt Frazier, now 4-time champion. Got Rich Froning, 4-time champion. I mean, Rich had one event. So it just depends how the cards are played, right?
Yes.
How they're laid out, how they're dealt. Rich had one event. I can't remember back when, but it was a swim in a pool, and you had to get out and do bar muscle-ups. I mean, it's Rich, right? He can do bar muscle-ups for hours.
But swim.
He was arming it. His legs were, like, below him. He probably questionably almost drowned. I mean, he was struggling. He comes in like 40th or, late, low. So that means if that was the first event on the table,
He would have been cut.
he's gone.
Yep.
So I don't know about the first event. Maybe day one,
Wherever your totals are at.
3 events in, 4 events in. Okay, I see it. And also, I know Dave Castro is about the show. He wants to put on a good show. People pay quality money to come to these things. At some point, when it came down to Sunday, and I think through the years they've always had a little bit of a cut line, like to get to Sunday. But come Sunday, you don't want to have to showcase 50 people when the 40 through 50 have no chance of making the podium at all.
None.
It's just
you throw your top 10 up there and you let them
you let
fight it out.
Battle it out. Or even if you kind of get it to a system where, like, is it feasible? The guy, because sometimes it's, we're talking 5, 10, couple of points separating each person. Do a cut line that is, all right, if you're within 100 points of first place, you still get to come to Sunday.
Well, even this year, the first and second, even third place points were so close.
Yeah.
It's like per the event. So if you won, you got whatever it was.
As they cut, yeah.
But then, like, second place you still got 90 points or whatever.
Right, and then that was one I did like that scale. Since they did have the cut line, the point values kind of escalated also, so there was bigger gaps between 5th and 1st, where it used to be not that big a gap. So, in all, it was well played. I would like to see people to have a little bit more opportunity, especially I think it was rope climbs, legless rope climbs. You can't be off any on that event, right? You can't.
Nope. Yeah.
Nothing.
It's all strength.
All strength.
But so with all those cuts and crazy new workouts and new equipment, did you have like a favorite event this year?
Favorite event there was a lot, of course, but I did like, honestly, just the pure. It was in the stadium and it was lifting. It was a very Olympic-esque lifting. And they've done that for years, right? It's always been on the stadium floor. But this year, because they had the cut line, the top 10 were on the stadium floor lifting. And the irony of that is the ladies started. It was we had squat cleans. The ladies started at 215. Started. I'm going to say that again because,
215 is not a lightweight.
Not a lightweight, especially on squat cleans. For these people, I get it, right? Some of them are Olympic. They truly made the Olympic team to lift, so I get it. For me, 215 is my 1 rep max currently. Let's not lie.
Yeah.
So I did like the format, and then if you missed your lift, it went down to a 5 rep, 4 time at 195, which is still brutal. Still brutal. And that was the ladies' weight. I think the guys started in the 3s, right? It was just crazy to watch the guys do it. But all in all, that event and how it was played, I loved the setup, but also the Tia Toomey moment. Like she
just dominates the
right. You kind of knew she's the dominant, right? This week, and I'm going to use her for that example of what confidence can do for you. She's always had the athletic ability, and for years came up in 2nd, 3rd place. And then finally something clicked or whatever it was, her mental capacity changed to this confident, I know I can do it and I'm going to show people I can do it kind of mentality. And now I don't want to say she's untouchable, but she's pretty damn close.
But it's to try to stop her.
Right. Catch me if you can.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like Frazier says, I'm going to be at my best. And, I want, try your hardest because I want you to really drive me, but I want you to know that I'm going to be out here doing everything I can to win.
Right. And he's in that persona too, right? But back on the Tia, and then I want to get to Fraser, but Tia, man, the moment where even the whole lifting moment, every time she got to the platform, and it's a ritual, but it just made a statement. I felt. I don't even know if she was trying. I think that's just her ritual. She does it. She gets up. She gives a little grunt, stomps the floor one time, and walks up to the bar. No hesitation. Kills it, and just walks back to her seat, right? Same cold face. Just
like nothing ever happened.
Like, I'm here. Who's next?
Yeah.
So that moment in entirety, I mean, there was a lot of great moments, but that one was just like, wow. That's awesome. And then going back to Fraser too, right? He wins with a smile on his face because that's what he does. He's a lifter, and he was behind, right?
I was gonna say he was not wearing the leader shirt for what, a day, 2 days?
Yeah, and I mean Noah Olson has always been a competitor, and I feel like he exudes confidence.
He looked bigger this year.
Yeah, I think he masked up a little bit just to throw more weight and not let the weight wear him down. But he's always been a lifter, man. If you watch any of his Instagram, like he's doing snatch probably like 3-4 days a week. Like he goes. And Fraser though, man, just he's a gamer. He knows when to push the button. And come Sunday, he launched that rocket and took off 50 points ahead and just said, "Hey."
It's almost as if that's part of his game plan.
Right. But over the years though, like going back to
like a pacing strategy, like. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'll let you get close, or I'll let you get a little bit of ahead. Come Sunday, I'm going to hit the gas. You try to keep up then.
And do you have any gas left?
Exactly.
I think it's some of the big difference. But also, it was a different year for him, too, because, I mean, let's just be, 2018? It wasn't really even a competition. I don't know if I think he had the leader jersey the entire...
He did. He was never not leading.
Right? So, to go from... not leading to actually kind of getting into the leaderboard later in the game. I'd say later. It's a 4-day event, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. Stayed calm, stayed on the game plan.
But the moment he finished that, whatever it was, Sunday event, and he knew I got my jersey back.
Right.
And
exactly.
it was like...
and I'm going to keep it.
Yeah. Now it's mine. I'm going to win this thing.
Oh, I will kick him back just a little bit. Classic moment, right? I think me and you both watched it. They had the assault bike.
I was just going to talk about that.
Assault bike, and then it was toes to rings, right? Was that it? Yeah.
Yep.
And one guy, top 10, I feel bad right now, I forgot his name. But anyway, he comes out on that assault bike like a madman. I was like, I think because it was like a 30-calorie,
30-calorie assault, yeah.
And he does it in like 20 seconds. I don't know. It was 30 seconds. Like, he went crazy on this bike, and then you're just like, he's going to die. But it was funny. If you watch some of the replays, everybody's going hard. That's what they do. It's Sunday. Let's get this out of the way, right? I think Fraser kind of glances over and is like, no thanks.
He did. You could see that in his face.
Yeah. It's like, no thanks. I don't need that. And he just kept his pace, won it all. So another great moment there was that one. Definitely was a great moment.
Now it's gonna bother me. I can't remember his name right now.
I know.
But he won that. He ended up winning that portion because it was a 2 back-to-back. Like there was a break and then there was another part of that event. But he won that portion.
Yeah, it was called the 2 Rings was the name of the event, and he won. He dominated the first one.
What happened to what happened to that second half?
Dead last.
He died on that one.
And that one was I know it was burpees to rings and overhead squat, and he had no jump power.
Nothing.
0 power. And no arm power, no shoulder power either. Like, he was having struggle keeping that bar up.
But it's like, hey, I'll go out there, win, get an event win for this one, pocket that cash.
Right. I mean, event winners got cash. So if you know you're not going to win the whole thing, let's get a little extra money at the end of the day, right?
Right. So aside from that, where he went all out and we saw him sort of, take the effect of that in the second half, there was another occurrence or like another thing that happened earlier. It wasn't Sunday. I think it was
that was Saturday on the
field,
field.
With Brooke Wells and running.
Right. I mean, all the comment boards, all the social medias, everybody's kind of blowing it up. And
so we got to tell them what happened. So some people might not know.
Right. Sprint event, but it's basically, I think 100 yards down. You come back, and then you have to weave through. It's like a zigzag sprint. Well, she crossed the line by inches in her lane.
Okay.
But she had one of the faster times. And this is a cut, right? There's going to be a cut. So you got to be in the top 10 to stay around. With her actual clock time, she's in. But they docked her, they penalized her in some seconds.
Because she crossed the line.
Took her all the way out of the top 10, ended her weekend. I have a couple of sides about it, right? I wasn't there. So I guess my question is, I know there's always the event breakdown. The judges come out, they talk to the athletes. If that was a strict coverage point when the judges were talking, like, hey, if you cross the line, you're going to get docked.
Yeah, here's the penalty that comes along with that.
I'm like, well, okay, that was part of the system.
Right? That was part of your initial instruction, yeah.
Right. In the Olympics, you can't swim over in somebody else's lane. Some of the runs you can't cross over because, like in the 400 meters, you got to stay in your lane.
Yep.
So did it. I mean, she still had a fast time. Did 6 inches make her faster? Actually, probably made her slower because she went farther.
Yeah.
So that sucks, right? But again, it goes back to, was it covered in the event instructions? If it wasn't, then it's bullshit. And I mean, I don't want to be mean, but
if it was and everybody knew those rules, then
right. So you got to battle that. You got to know more of the story. It sucks for her. The girl, like, I've actually got to see her live at the HOA event in Missouri. Man, she can go, and even at that event, she didn't have to set it on fire. That's just a fun event, raise some money. She was a track star at the university. So she goes, man.
Well, and that goes, if she was a track star at the university, then she knows.
A little bit, right? Yeah. So you got to throw that in there too. So
yeah.
Again, rules are rules. Typically in all the stuff I'm not a games athlete, never been to the games, really want to go. Waterpalooza.
Next year.
We're there. Is the game plan. But in every documentary I've ever watched on it, any behind the scenes, the lead judges cover thoroughly, even in the briefing rooms before they go out on the field. It's usually a 2-portion, right? Hey, here's the event. Here's some rules. When we get out to the field, we're going to show you exactly what we're talking about. They've always been very diligent about that. Were they this time? I don't know. So
we like to think they were.
I mean,
They have a hard job, and we like to think they do it well. So,
I mean, over the years, people have missed reps. The judge. I mean, it's a human-driven judging. So, judges have missed reps. They reviewed the tape, then they did the calculation based per rep seconds. Added that to the person's time. That was always fair. But that person was penalized. They didn't do the reps. So I get it, right? They've always been able to balance it. Now, how they come up with the penalty, I don't know. Or was it just a flat 10, 12-second penalty?
Yeah, it's probably just if you cross the line, it's an automatic 10 seconds, whatever it is.
And, okay, then that's a rule.
Which is a lot of time
in
any CrossFit event. 10 seconds?
Well,
that can make or break.
It did.
Well, we know it did.
Right.
But, like, in any of them, day 1, 3, 4, whatever.
Well, even I've seen, not even 10-second intervals, right? You see guys diving across the line. One guy put the leg with the tracker on it out first, and he wins, even though they both hit the stage at the same time. It's who used the right leg to get up.
Milliseconds separate these people.
Right. They are the fittest people, and everybody wants to argue that, but hey.
If you want to test that, if you want to test that theory, go try to beat them.
And then going back to another event that I really liked, it was probably a little boring for people, but they did a swim paddle, which was a 1,000-meter swim. No joke, that open water swim in the lake. A lot of psychology in that when you can't touch the bottom.
Open water swims are something on a different level,
right? Especially when you're in the pack, getting kicked in the face, and there's more than just the physical aspect of that. You come in, your arms are smoked. You get on, and when we say paddleboard, it's not the old stand-up ones we kick around here at the lake. It's like what the lifeguards use in the ocean, where you're either sit on your knees and paddle with your hands or lay on your chest and paddle with your hands. So, again, upper back, shoulders, smoked.
Well, we saw who dominated that.
Yeah, the Aussies, right?
We know who dominated that.
The Aussies just said, this is just another day at the beach.
Yeah, that was like a break for them.
Yeah, I was like, oh, man, vacation time, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a holiday.
Dominated that.
And again, going back the evolution of the games, right? Rich got crushed in the pool, and he was one of the first guys out of the water on that team, in the team, right? The paddleboard wasn't his thing, though.
It wasn't.
Wasn't his best thing. We'll say next year it probably will be.
It will be, because he'll start doing that at the farm.
Yeah. So again, I will have to say, just really enjoying how it's the evolution. But now the question comes: is it going to die out and be taken over by these rogue invitationals, Wadapalooza? Is it going to be this new circuit?
It could be.
Right, and so
I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing if it were. Not necessarily.
More media coverage, your own air more. It's going to push fitness a little more, as long as it's housed. If there's everybody wants their own YouTube channel, but how do you coordinate that into one vein, right? So the Rogue Invitational is shown by YouTube, some channel. The Wadapalooza is on that same channel, so you can just go back and watch, and then whatever at the end of the year, you may have one big event sponsored by somebody that caps off the true champion for the year.
So, speaking of sponsored by somebody said they were taking off Reebok next year.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
It was either next year or the year after, but supposedly it wasn't going to be
the Reebok games?
Yeah.
And that's a possibility, because this year I did notice they allowed No Bull shoes on the field.
And Nike shoes on the field.
So the athletes got, and that was probably some of the push from the athletes, right? Again, evolution of sports.
Well, I'm sure that they train in those shoes all year round, so why would they swap it up at the last minute?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you also, do my shoes technically make me better?
Well,
but if I get to train, if I'm a Reebok sponsored athlete and I'm always in Reebok product, but this other person's No Bull or Nike, and it comes down to where I have to wear the Reebok stuff and I'm not comfortable in it, well, who has the advantage? And I think that's part of it, too.
Well, Michael Jordan taught us it's all about the shoes.
It's all about the damn shoes.
Well, and so if I'm sponsored by Nike, and Nike sponsors me all year long, they give me money to train and new gear and shoes, and then I have to go to the games and wear Reebok.
Right. It's
like, well, I'm sort of, I'm putting a dig in my sponsor.
Yeah.
And I'm also not representing what got me here.
And I may be slightly out of my comfort zone.
And I'm out some cash.
Hey, don't mess with my bank account.
No.
Don't. But, yeah, and as you noticed on the YouTube, they were really pushing the Rogue portion of that, right? Like Rogue had some events that were Rogue exclusive sponsorships. I think Rogue will probably take it over.
You think so? Well, yeah.
Rogue, because then Rogue can go out. Because Rogue not only does the equipment, their website houses Reebok, No Bull, Nike, all the apparel, all the brands, right? So Rogue can go out on the lead here and use all those sponsorships that they already have in house, right? Be like, hey guys, we need a little bump here, and to get this event, this is your event. This is the Nike event. This is the Reebok event. Not to say those athletes have to wear those shoes, but you're sponsoring this event. I think it's a smart plan.
I could see that. And right. It'd be a smart plan for them and for the, whoever's going to sponsor that event. I mean.
Right. And CrossFit's still there, right? They're still programming. They're still driving. They're still the drive. They're still spreading the fitness news. At the end of the day, it's elite fitness, but it's tangible elite fitness. I mean, maybe I could go do the Masters. I mean, I have to put a lot of extra time in. Is it feasible for me with two? I don't know at this point. But hey, at least that idea's in my head, right?
Yeah,
they're keeping me intrigued and like thinking about it.
Yeah, it's not. It wouldn't be impossible.
Right. It would just be.
Yeah, it would be time and commitment, and how much you really want to put into this. But you could do it.
Right. It's the hard path. You want to choose the hard path because that's what you got to do to get there.
Yeah, you want to put in the work. That's all.
And also need a sponsorship.